Okay, so you probably see the title of the video and gonna think this is just gonna be me roasting the game. I promise it's not. It's gonna be more just like personal opinions and where I feel like the game is going and how I personally feel about it. I'm not gonna try to speak for anyone in the community. It's gonna be me and my thoughts. And I'm just kind of curious how like other people who watch me feel about it, because I want to know if I'm like crazy or not. So, I mean, to start, I'm really not enjoying the meta. Like, in my eyes, this is the worst meta the game has ever had. If you've been playing the game for a while and you played when Seer first released, back when Seer's tactical did like 10 damage, heal cancel, res cancel, obviously the highlight through walls with the health bar. I mean, Seer was like very clearly broken when he released. And I'm bringing that up because I would rather have Seer be in his prime than this meta we have now. Because back then, at least, Seer was kind of like the big issue, and I also remember like Prowler being very strong too. But he was kind of like the main dominant legend and everyone else wasn't as much of a problem. But now, in current Apex, I feel like Alter, Ashe, and Ballistic are just so dominant and boring to fight. It feels like the variety in the game has just died where I'm running into the same thing every game. It's the same 3 legends, and then if you're playing ranked, it's going to be a Devo also. You're gonna fight a whole team with Devos. And I guess the main reason why I hate the meta, well, there's 2 reasons, but the main reason is I think the skill gap is just completely dead with this meta. I don't think you have to be good at the game at all to play any of those 3 characters right now. And also, we're playing a movement shooter. The big appeal of Apex is I think the gunplay is really good, and the movement just feels really good. I mean, I think that's why like the biggest thing that kept people on Apex over all these years is whenever someone tries to leave Apex, and this is myself included, they end up coming back because they say Apex movement just spoils them too much. But now in the current meta, we have Ashe, who can make it so you can't move. Then you have Ballistic, who can make it so you can't shoot. And then you have Alter, who can basically guarantee your team a free reset as long as you don't get 3-man wiped instantly. So, in my opinion, what used to be like skill gaps, which is shooting, movement, and resetting, all 3 of the meta legends just make up for it so well if you aren't good at any of them. And if you aren't playing them, you are severely disadvantaged. Let me tell you, like, I've been playing ranked a decent amount. When I play ranked, I don't play any of the meta legends because I find it so boring. I'll play like Wattson, or sometimes I'll play Gibby if I'm bored. It just depends. And I also don't run Devo either. And even though that my experience in the game, it should be more than basically the entire community, I still get rolled non-stop just because I don't want to run what everyone else is using. And I know every game has a meta, but this is the worst it's ever been in terms of if you don't run the meta, you have no chance. In the past, I could run off meta and still like 1v3 and not have an issue, but it's too far gone for that now. The thing I hear a lot now is that Apex wants to appeal more to the casuals, and personally, I don't even agree that the way the game is going now appeals to casuals. I don't know who it's supposed to appeal to. But again, I'm not trying to speak for anyone, just myself. But let's look at the metas that came before this one if we're on the topic of metas, okay? So we had the support class buff where supports got to double heal with small heals. Newcastle and Gibby's shields were unbreakable. Couldn't shoot Newcastle's Q. Even if you played a counter, so let's say like Maggie is like a decent counter to those characters. It doesn't matter because they could out heal it. You could sit on a riot drill and pop a cell and heal more than that thing's gonna do to you. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I feel like they're balancing the game to a point where there's no counterplay to what they're making meta. And this has been ongoing for a while now. Look before support meta, so like the season before, we had, I believe, the Revenant Reborn. Maybe I'm getting my timeline a little wrong, but I know these are more recent things at least. Revenant had no counterplay either. He had one of the best movement abilities in the game, and then a free 75 shield with a press of a button. There was no thoughts that went into what you have to do. You play Revenant, you just press a button and you're unkillable. And someone could tell me if they want, because I don't know what the counterplay is to a guy just pressing a button and getting 75 free shield. You can't use an ability to stop it, and if he downs anyone on your team, it gets refreshed. And then I believe before Revenant Reborn is when they added health bars. So whenever you shoot someone now, you see health bars. I honestly don't think anyone ever asked for this. Maybe it's a good thing. I'm not gonna say it was like a bad thing overall for the game, but it's just another thing that lowers skill gap. And then obviously the time to kill changes. I think that actually hurt the casual experience. I think if you were a newer player to Apex, the fact that you could survive longer in team fights actually gave you more of a chance to make something happen, you know? The game is becoming like Call of Duty-fied. I know it's not a real thing, I'm making it up right now, but I think what was so appealing to Apex to me is when I started, For those who don't know, I've been playing Apex since it released, so like preseason, before we even had seasons. The thing that really kept me in the game was that you actually had a chance to fight back when someone saw you first. And I think that is a better thing for casual, so they don't just get immediately killed and then go sit in a queue again for 5 minutes until they get the next game. I also think that having low time to kill makes balancing harder because you have a lot smaller margins that will affect like things drastically. So now changing one number in low time to kill could make something completely horrible to something completely good. And obviously, I don't know if what I'm saying is like 100% the truth in that aspect, but at least from the way the game's been playing out the past few seasons, it feels like it. Because it really seems like they're struggling to balance the game right now. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and complain about every meta that exists, and every time there's a meta, I think it's boring that everyone plays the meta. I mean, it happens. Every game will have a meta. But you can have good metas too, like, for example, Gibby, Bloodhound, Octane, or Wraith, Pathfinder. All those characters are like pretty good for the game when they're meta because they're not so oppressive. So let's take Pathfinder for example. I love when Pathfinder's in the meta because nothing about him is inherently really annoying to fight. His abilities don't do damage, and I would say they kind of complement your own mechanical skill. They don't give you free mechanical skill. And that's how the game used to be in the past. And that's what it's moving away from, and that's like my big issue. Because now, look at Ashe for example. She has one of the best movement abilities in the game, and it's as a passive with only an 8-second cooldown. And there's no skill gap to that movement ability either. You just press a button and that's about it. It's omnidirectional too, so it doesn't even matter. And I definitely think Ashe is fun to play, at least that's what everyone says. I'm not gonna lie, I've only played her like twice since she got reworked. But it seems they're not thinking about the aspect of how fun is this character to face though. Now you gotta think, is it worth making this character so busted to the point where everyone's gonna have fun playing her? But the trade-off of that is the entire rest of the lobby is gonna absolutely hate that they don't get to play her. I don't know, it's just something to think about. I don't think it's a bad thing to make characters really strong. But I do think it's a bad thing when you buff characters to the point where you basically make every other legend in the game irrelevant compared to them. Because right now we have, I believe, 27 legends in the game. And I would say you have less than 10 who are actually viable. Regardless though, that's my rant on the meta and the way legends have been balanced. I think guns are actually decently balanced in the game. I'm not going to complain about them too much. Obviously Akimbo, P20, and Devo. Pretty horrendous meta. But if you remove the Devo, then I do think you actually have a decent amount of solid options for guns. So there's not much that has to be done to at least fix that aspect. Now, let's talk about matchmaking. I know it's a big issue. A lot of people have an issue with it. I have an issue with it. And I'm talking pubs or ranked, it doesn't matter. Now, of course, I'm getting the like mega sweat lobbies that are really boring to play in. And it's the game's attempt at like making the newer player experience better by having to avoid people like me. I ain't gonna deny it, you know? And I don't think it's like a bad thing, but so I'm not gonna speak on how it is for like casuals or anything. Obviously, I see it complained about a lot, so it can't be too great, but that's whatever. So let me talk about my own pub matchmaking experience to start. So at the time of this video, yesterday I was playing Apex, and take a look at the graph here of skill distribution. And this is not even 3 stacking, by the way. I had Fade and Asu as my teammates. And we didn't win the game either. So you would think with like a pretty good roster like that, you know, surely you're going to make something happen. No, we still died. So, I mean, that goes to show you like the level of how hard everyone is playing that pub to win. And I'm just trying to say, I don't want lobbies like that. It's not fun for me. I know everyone is getting better at the game because of how long the games have been out. I think it's like 6 years now or so. But listen, at the end of the day, like, I'm trying to be a content creator. I want to get funny clips, good clips. I want to be able to chill and still have something worth uploading to YouTube. But I can't. But if you're somewhat decent at the game and you get lobbies that are similar to mine, or you see graphs like this, then you know how miserable that is. It feels like everyone is playing ALGS but in pubs, where realistically it should mean nothing, but everyone is playing like it does mean something. It just sucks that the game has a hidden MMR system to the point where, okay, now the game thinks I'm a good player, so pubs are now unplayable for me. Because I have to fight people who all equal skill level to me, and I'm just not going to have fun because it's supposed to be casual and it's not casual. Let's say I want to avoid pubs and I go to ranked. Ranked's going to be the same issue, and listen, I'm not trying to like roast anyone here or sound toxic, but I'm trying to give my honest thoughts. If I go and I solo queue ranked, then it's basically like I'm a babysitter for 2 toddlers. Every game is going to be me basically doing 2,000 damage while my 2 randoms have a total combined of 300. And if I die, then I know that means the game is lost. Like, you are genuinely a one-man army if you solo queue ranked in this game. And there's two things that cause this issue. One is that somehow a diamond and plat team are in predator lobbies. It just should not be a thing unless you're like diamond 1 or something. And I know some people are saying, oh, but the queues are going to be longer. Honestly, who cares? Screw those guys. I'm going to say it. Make their queues longer for the sake of it being fair. That's why Apex Predator means nothing in this game. And it's because it's literally just an Apex Predator 3-stack running the meta with divas. And then killing a bunch of basically like 9-to-5ers who just got out of work and they're solo queuing in Diamond. Tell me how these guys are ever supposed to have a chance. And I mean, there really is no telling me, because there is no chance. And then, of course, the second issue is that ranked is too easy. Now, what comes out of ranked being too easy is that there is very inflated ranks. So let's say Diamond rank, for example. You could have a really good player on your team in Diamond where this guy is like a pro player, or he could be a pred player or something. And then you have two people who realistically should be like gold. So there is a massive skill disparity between the teammates. And the reason why that skill disparity is even there to begin with is because, like I said, ranking up is too easy. And that's what makes the solo queue rank so miserable. Because you can be a really good player and your teammates are going to be really bad players. Because let's look at the game realistically right now. Rookie all the way to gold might as well just all be the same rank. There's no difference in skill as far as I've seen. And you basically can't lose RP unless you're intentionally throwing. Platinum is like decent. I think there's okay-ish players in Platinum. Not the greatest, but I think this is where you kind of feel like they start getting the hang of the game. And Platinum plays out the best. Platinum actually has endgames, and that's like the fun part of ranked. Versus Diamond and Pred, once you get there, there's no endgames anymore. And then once you get to Diamond, it's basically just die non-stop to Predators and then hope you RNG your way up to Predator or Masters. Like, it feels like the game just has 4 ranks right now. And that's the issue. When it's hard to lose RP, even if you're bad at the game, you're still going to keep climbing ranks, and then you're indirectly going to end up griefing your teammates because you might not be good at the game, but you have a teammate who is good at the game, and then it's just going to create like an environment of toxicity. Listen, even when I solo queue, I get roasted all the time by my randoms when they say I'm bad, and then the game ends and they have 120 damage by endgame. I don't know, everyone's just toxic. Yeah, sorry, I think I went on a rant here a little longer than I expected to, but yeah, matchmaking is like very cooked, and it's making the game, for me, very hard to play. Because you either have ranked, which is very miserable with the current meta, or you have ranked V2, which is called pubs, where you're going to also play it like ranked, but it just has no badge. And we don't get any LTMs in the game. The few we do get, they don't last long, which is a shame too, because like 3 strikes I thought was a really fun LTM, which kind of just brings up a little point for me. I'm not going to make a whole section ranting about it here, but I think the game just lacks content. It has for a long time. Sometimes we get new maps and new legends, but when the game itself is kind of already feeling stale, I feel like a new map and a new legend aren't really going to change anything. We need like actual whole new ways to play the game. Like, I saw a Mario Kart collab was leaked with Apex, which that could be really cool because that's going to be inherently a different way to play the game. Which this is going to be a content creator perspective, but I actually don't know what to upload, and this is why I'm even uploading this video. I mean, if you guys got ideas, by the way, leave them in the comments. I'm desperate. I'll do anything at this point, but there's always such a lack of content in the game, and then ranked and pubs being so miserable is that, like, as a content creator, I don't know what to upload anymore. I could just be like everyone else, you know, and just go play pubs and hope I get a 20 bomb or 4K or something, then just upload basically that gameplay, and then cut a few spots, and that's about it. But I think that's so boring. And I don't understand the appeal to watching that type of stuff either. People have been doing that for 6 years. And a lot of people have been doing that too. I want some uniqueness or creativity in the game. When I get on, I actually feel motivated to like give my audience something actually worth watching. But I can't. There's nothing to do. I'm not saying I haven't done that before in the past. I mean, a majority of my channel is just like gameplay. But I'm just trying to say, like, it's not what I want to do. And you know, this is gonna be kind of personal what I'm about to talk about right here. But Season 7 for me was kind of like the peak of the game, and this was back when Olympus and Horizon came out. I feel like there was just good content back then. And I don't even remember exactly what it was. I just know that was kind of around like the peak of my Apex career. I used to be able to make a decent living off the game, and by decent, I'm saying like 3K a month. It's actually not the greatest. I could probably work a real job and make more, but I was happy actually like getting on and uploading every day. And I don't know, it just kind of changed. And I'm a pretty inconsistent YouTuber, as you guys have probably seen. And it's because, like, kind of during the peak of my career, I got really depressed and I just stopped, like, playing the game. I stopped uploading. I stopped doing anything, to be honest. And then basically all that money I had saved up, I just started spending because I didn't really care what I was doing with my life at the time. So, I mean, yeah, I just put myself into a lot of debt. I'm trying to come back to Apex now because I do want it to be like a viable thing for me to do again, but I just don't know what to do. Just a weird situation I feel stuck in right now. I mean, I'll tell you guys, I'm 26. I still live with my parents right now, and I have absolutely no money. I have $2 in my bank account. And I could just go and get a real life job. But I just know it won't satisfy me as a person. Like, I want to be a real content creator. And on top of that, also, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease at the end of last year, which definitely makes things harder in terms of like finding a job, because it can be like pretty stressful dealing with, even though it's not like the worst autoimmune disorder or anything you can get diagnosed with, but it definitely has made things harder for me. We'll say that for sure. I mean, yeah, I guess, I don't know. To sum everything up, the way Apex is going right now, I fear they're going to keep going this direction, and it feels like it's straying very far from what the game used to be, and it's making it really hard for me to enjoy. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for the game, it just kind of sucks for me. I think the skill gap keeps getting lowered, and the balancing is kind of getting just worse and worse as we go. And I'm not a fan of low skill gap games. I think that's what made Apex so cool when it came out, is that it had a high skill gap. But that's all I gotta say. Again, if you have content ideas, you could throw them in the comments. I might do it, I might not, we'll see. But I'll definitely look through all the comments. Say whatever you want down there, go crazy. And yeah, if you somehow made it to the end of me ranting this entire time, type chicken in the comments.